In this video, I really want to talk about one of the least sexy things in bass fishing, but probably one of the most important things, which is our hooks. Literally, we cannot catch a fish without a hook. And having bad hooks can cost you a lot of frustration out there on the water, or having the wrong hook, having the wrong size hook, having the wrong weight hook. There's a lot of like little nuances that all revolve around our hooks. And so in this video, I really want to talk about some of those nuances. Now, before we get into it, this video is brought to you by Fin Fishing Apparel. And right now for the month of September 2025, I am running a package deal over on the website. So basically you can get a USA made sun shirt, one of the only ones made in the US, and a duck hat. This is a waterproof, highly durable, lightweight hat that a lot of guys seem to really like. You can get that package together for $64. So usually it's a $90 value, all the way down to $64. So you can save a lot of money right now, and I'm gonna leave some links down below in the description. Shopping at Fin Fishing, whether you buy a package or not, is truly the best way to help support this channel, and I greatly appreciate it. All right, let's talk a little bit about hooks in general. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the recent test that I did over on BassFishingHQ, where I tested a lot of the newer flippin' style hooks. I'll actually leave that linked at the very end of this video if you guys want to go from this video and watch that one. It's a really good video, put a lot of work into it, and did some of you guys love the testing stuff. But hooks in general are something that are just so important when it comes to bass fishing. And you know, once I really started thinking about hooks, it really just in general helped my whole fishing. And really what it comes down to is it allows you to hook and land more fish. That's what it comes down to. Having a right hook, right size hook, right wire hook, the right kind of hook, all that, what it does, it's not like it's necessarily always gonna get you a lot more bites, but it's going to help you to land more fish. The more fish that you land, the percentages are all in your favor. And so there's a couple of just like things that I want to mention about hooks. One of the first things is that almost every single brand of bait out there that you buy, whether it is a Strike King or even Berkley to some sort, I like the Berkley ones a little bit more, but almost every single hard plastic bait that you buy that comes with treble hooks, those treble hooks are typically not quality hooks. They are hooks that may be sharp. Like if I pull this out of the package and I put my fingers to it, they're gonna stick. But typically the last thing that a lot of these big, businesses want to spend money on is hooks, especially when a lot of people are going to change out the hooks anyways. And that is something that I would highly suggest and just remind you guys that when you get a new bait, like especially if you are serious about catching every fish that bites, switch out the hooks. Now there's two main hooks. We're talking right now about treble hooks, and then we'll talk a little bit about more like single hooks here in a minute. But when it comes to treble hooks, there's two real types of hooks that you have. You have a round bend hook, and then you have kind of that EWG style hook. I will say that when it comes to an EWG style hook, as long as you can hook the fish, it seems as if the EWG style hooks will hold those fish a little bit better. Maybe it has to do with the little kink that's in it. For years, that is what I've always noticed. And so I don't always start with an EWG style hook on my baits, but if I get on a good bite where it just seems like the fish are getting those baits pretty good, I will switch over to an EWG often, because I feel like you lose just a few less fish on a premium EWG style hook than you do on a round bend hook. Now with that being said, I do think that at times the round bend will hook those fish a little bit better because of the hooks being a little bit more outward. And so there's kind of a give and take there. If you get into certain times of the year where the fish are slashing at the bait a lot, or they're just kind of coming up there, hitting the bait and not really getting it good, that is when I really like a round bend hook. Now there's a ton of good hooks out there on the market in general. I'm not gonna mention a specific brand. What I will say is that I have become a really big believer in these nano coated hooks. And it's not just the nano coat. I don't even know what the actual term is, but a lot of these coated hooks, they kind of have a grayish hue to them. Like some of the newer hooks, like these red line hooks. For example, same type of thing. It has some sort of coat to it, whatever it may be. Those hooks tend to be really good hooks. And you have them in the treble hook realm of things. Like you can get treble hooks that have that coat. The thing about those hooks is what I've seen is that they are a stronger hook and they penetrate better. Two of the things that are the most important when it comes to a quality hook. So I'm not saying that you have to go with those hooks. I've used regular old round bend Gamakatsus for years that are really good. I've used the Berkeley Fusion hooks that I like, but they are a brittle hook, meaning that they will break on you before they bend. There's a lot of different hooks out there in the market, but those are a couple of big things that I always think about when it comes to treble hooks. Now, the big thing also with treble hooks is you will have treble hooks that have a longer eye and a shorter eye, or a longer shank and a shorter shank is what I should say. Typically the short shank hooks, you can get away with a bigger hook than you can with the long shank hooks. If you go with a long shank hook that has big hooks on it, then the hooks tend to get caught on each other, which is not ideal. It's also going to lead you to not hooking up with fish. So just a couple of things that you should know. Always change out your hooks. Also understand how hooks are going to change the action of your baits. When it comes to a lot of baits like crankbaits, lipless crankbaits, not a huge, you could put an oversized hook on these. It's not going to really change the action of them too much. When it comes to topwaters and jerk baits, it can really change the action of your bait. A lot of jerk baits out there on the market are made and they are designed around the weight of a hook. So if you are buying a jerk bait that somewhat suspends, because there's no true perfect suspending jerk bait, if you buy one that is labeled as a suspending jerk bait, it means that it's suspending based on the hooks. If you upsize the hook on that, it's going to start sinking. If you downsize the hook on it, it's going to start floating. So just always remember that when you replace hooks, that can happen. Now, if you want to get like really technical into things, which I have done, like all of us anglers have things that we're very technical about. When you pull a hook off, you can weigh it on a scale. Like you can weigh how many grams that hook might be, even like fractures of grams. So that way you can get as close as you can to the exact same weight of hook when it comes to like changing out your hooks on specifically jerk baits and topwaters. Bigger topwaters, it doesn't make a huge difference. It's the small topwaters like a popper. You know, like I love to fish a little KVD splash, popper. If you put a really big hook or a bigger hook on the back of it, it really tilts the bait down a little bit more and it just causes it to have a different action. So just always remember when you're changing out the hooks on your baits that they can, depending on the bait, cause a little bit of a difference in the action of the bait. Let's talk a little bit about single hooks. One of the biggest things that I like when it comes to a single hook is I like to get away with the smallest diameter hook that I can get away with. I have seen that to be beneficial in most of my fishing because a smaller diameter hook gives more freedom to the plastic that we're putting on it. Whether it's a simple wacky rig, even if it's a swim bait with a jig head. If you use a really heavy gauge hook on a swim bait, it restricts the action. You go to a lighter hook, it allows that bait to have a lot more freedom. And that can be said with pretty much any kind of single hook with a plastic, even a simple Texas rig. You use a really thick gauge hook on there, it's going to impact the action that that bait has. So the lighter of a hook, lighter wire that you can get away with, typically the more action that that bait is going to have, the little bit more natural action that that bait is going to have. Now the give and take there is that if you go with too light of a wire hook and you have maybe heavy equipment, you're going to bend those hooks out. Like, so there's a severe technical give and take that really what I feel like comes down to a lot of experimenting. Like experimenting with your hooks and paying attention to whatever type of fishing that you're doing. You know, if you are flipping and pitching into heavy cover with a single straight shank hook, you know, when you set the hook on a fish, look at that hook. Is the tip dulled? Is the hook warped out a little bit? There's just a lot of little things that you can look at to try to figure out, you know, like, is this hook working with me as an angler? There's also hooks out there on the market that are very sharp out of the package, but they also dull the quickest, which is something that I did a test. When I did that test, I kind of tested that specific thing. So there's just a lot of little tiny nuances within your hooks. Can you get away with putting any old hook on your bait and catching a fish? Yes. But when I talk to you guys a lot, I'm always talking in the tournament angler mindset, because you know, with tournaments, money is on the line and you're trying to win money. Like, that's what it comes down to. Now, there's not a ton of you guys that always are going to be out there fishing tournaments. But regardless, you want to put the odds in your favor at landing the next fish, because every bite that we have out there, you never know if it's going to be the one, the biggest one that you've ever caught, the biggest one in the lake. Who knows? World record, maybe for some of you guys. So when it comes to a single hook or treble hooks, that is something that I think is important to spend additional money on, to get premium hooks, because I think at times there's a number of baits we can get bass to bite on, but hooking them, holding them, putting them in the boat or putting them in the shore is the most important part. And that a lot of times comes down to the hook and your rod action and your line configuration, which the other two things are just a whole new story for another day. So big thing here, hooks are very, very important. You guys know that. Now, if you guys want to watch the recent video I did over on Bass Fishing HQ, I tested out, I think 15 or 16 different hooks and actually found one that was the best. I'm going to leave it linked right up here. So guys, if you enjoyed this one, I think you'll like this one as well. And I will see you guys in the next one.